And I remember, like it was yesterday, I took a water bottle out to get a drink. I put it back in the bottom of my bike and went down into the aero position, which is leaning forward on my aero bars. And probably 10 seconds, 15 seconds after that, I just felt this horrific pain on my left side and just being like shot out of a cannon. That's, I guess, how I can explain it. It just happened so fast. I do remember seeing the ground and the sky as I was flipping. I knew I was hit by something. What, I don't know. At the time, there were no vehicles around. I didn't see any cars come by me for a while. I just remember hitting the ground hard. I ended up on my right side, and I had a little bit of pressure on my right elbow, enough to where I could look up to see my surroundings. At that time, my first instinct was I knew I was seriously hurt. I could feel it. I knew I couldn't move my back. My first instinct was to check my legs to make sure I wasn't paralyzed. That came right to my head there, and I got nervous. I went down, I wiggled my toes, and I could feel my toes. And I was like, thank God I'm not paralyzed. After that, kind of assessed my injuries, just moved myself a little bit and then realized that's not a good idea to move anymore. I did raise my hand for help. I did not see anybody around. I do remember cars passing me on the left-hand side. Did they stop? I don't know. I couldn't look back far enough on the road. All I do is remembering seeing a lady. I don't know what the time difference was, but I saw a young lady with dark hair coming up the road with the cell phone on and pointing over to me. And once I saw her, I put my arm down and I laid my head down. And not too long after that, the Collier County Sheriff came. He came up to me. He kept me separate. He put me down. He said, stay still. You could have a neck injury. So I kept myself down. I kept on the ground. He actually, forced me down so I wouldn't move. An EMT seemed to come right after that. And the next thing I know, they're cutting off my shoes, my clothes. They get the board on. They put the collar on right away. And I was off in the ambulance. I remember saying that it's a trauma patient and that he's seriously injured. And then I found out my injuries, which were, start at the top. I had three fractured vertebrae in my neck. I have, my L2 disc is shattered in my back, which now I have I have 2 rods going from L1 to L3, and I have 6 titanium screws. I had a punctured lung in my left lung. I had 5 broken ribs. I have a torn MCL on my left leg, a slight tear in my meniscus. When I was riding, I was in the bike lane. Actually, the bike lane's, I guess, approximately 3 foot wide. I was a foot off the curb, so I was actually probably the closest I could be to the curb with actually being safe to myself, to where if I did have a little bit of movement either way, I would be safe. And as the report said, the individual came 2 feet into the bike lane and struck me. There's obviously on the helmet, this is reflector tape on the helmets. My shirt has reflector tape. The back of my bike shoes have reflector tape. I had bright LED red lights on the back of my bike, a white LED on the front of my bike. Mine is a silver bike, which when you hit it with headlights, you can't miss it. I did everything right that day. I had everything on to be seen. This helmet, this is actually incredible if you look at it. It's about a $165 helmet, and I'm really glad I went out and spent the money on it. There's just my point for the safety part of it is that you can go out and buy helmets for $25, $35, but you're talking about your life, I think, and you don't have to be going down the street and get hit going 30 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour. You can be on your driveway sitting on your bike and just accidentally fall off your bike, and if you don't get your hands out in time to protect your head, you hit your head. the blow is tremendous, and I think this is so important. This particular one has Kevlar in it, which was really huge in this crash, because if you can see, the helmet's ajar a little bit, it moves to the left. There's cracks in it, but the Kevlar kept it together from totally shattering, because it looks like I hit the left side of my head on here. I mean, it definitely saved my life. And make sure you're visible. I mean, that's the least we can do when we're on the road. Get the lights on your bike, get reflective clothing. It comes pretty much standard now on shoes and bicycle helmets, jerseys, and there's lights, millions of lights you can get that are just as bright as that the sheriffs use in their cars that you can see for, distances. Super important, the lights. Next thing is awareness more than anything, and just with the accidents that happened recently, about 40% of accidents where the bicyclist has been rear-ended end up in fatalities. So I was shooting on almost a, good shot of going. It could have went the other way there. And 17% of all deaths for bicycle accidents happen in Florida. Florida owns 17% of it, which is even higher than California, which is sickening. I use just drunk driving. I use the seatbelt issues that we've had over the past years, and the media, commercials, billboards, radio spots. I think we need to start doing that with bike safety. Click it and ticket. Would you have your helmet on today? I mean, come up with some kind of little, some kind of saying that they could do. Show them on advertisements on TV, on local TV stations. I don't know why they can't do that. It's huge, and it's a big deal, because I read some of the comments on my posting in the paper, and a lot. I mean, the first thing people say, like one comment's like, he deserves it. He's out on a busy street. What do you expect? And I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, this state, for people who ride here, it's not only for pleasure. People here ride because they need their bikes to go to work. Livingston's huge out here for people using their bikes to work. It's only transportation that they have, and they expect to be safe. They're considered motor vehicles on the road. These people that come from out of state, the snowbirds, I mean, it's their responsibility to learn the laws wherever you go to, and I think that's another huge thing. They come down. It's almost like bicycle riders are nuisances. I mean, I don't think they understand. Some of the other comments is, why don't you ride on the sidewalk? So you're going to have some of these guys that ride 26 miles an hour and 30 miles an hour to ride on the sidewalk when you have people walking and strolling with their kids. I mean, that's insane. And you can say anything you want against the riders, anything against the vehicles. I mean, I'm not at that point. I'm not upset at anybody. I mean, what happened happened. It's just, let's not make it happen again, and see if we can get the word out. And also the laws. I think the 3-foot buffer that we're supposed to have on the road needs to be enforced. I think they need to start enforcing that to keep the cars out. You go into a lane, you hit somebody, it should be automatically reckless driving. They should lose points. They should lose their license. I think there just needs to be a little stiffer consequences for that happening. I was hit. I actually flew. I went 60 feet in the air, which, when I marked it off, I was like, I mean, I'm just like, it's a miracle I'm alive. I mean, every day I wake up and thank God I'm still alive, because I can't believe it sometimes.